I'm here in Stansted, Quebec, which is literally on the border of the United States. In fact, everything behind me is in the United States. We're about a meter away from the actual border. Now, the reason we've done this is because we have one of the most all-American cars in front of us here today. Our spotlight is on this 2018 Cadillac CTS-V. It has a 6.2-liter supercharged V8 LT4 engine straight out of the Corvette Z06. So we're going to be showing you everything about this car and everything you need to know if you're in the market for pure luxury performance. Now, as we mentioned in the introduction, this car is powered by a 6.2-liter LT4 LS-based derived engine. It is the same engine used in the Camaro and Corvette Z06. Now, obviously, those are the top trims for those. And both of those cars actually have a little bit more power, with 10 horsepower more than you get here on the Cadillac CTS-V. Now, when we open this up, there's a lot that's actually really fun about this. This is a very light hood because it's almost completely carbon fiber. The engine here fits pretty tight, and it also runs incredibly hot. You do have that sway bar up top to help with stabilization. And you can see the vents here at the top help to extract more heat. And I'm telling you, even on a cool day that we've had this engine gets insanely hot. So if you did not have those vents there, I don't know, I think this engine will overheat pretty quickly. But it's all carbon fiber, so it helps with weight and it looks really nice. The only thing is you do have to pay for the actual carbon fiber hood vents here. These would normally be plastic, but it is an upgrade to have those, so you do pay a little bit more for it. But I think overall it looks good. The amount of carbon fiber on this vehicle is a thumbs up in my books. Now, there's a lot going on with the front of this vehicle as well. First off, you do have about a $695 dark chrome V-style grille here. It is a dealer installed option, so you can pay for that. I think it looks pretty good. And just below that actually are the dual front camera systems. It's not a single camera underneath the Cadillac badge like we've seen on their other vehicles. There are actually two of them on the front, and they're just underneath basically this part here. We do have the carbon fiber package, which adds this big lip on the front here, all carbon fiber. It looks really good. It probably helps with aerodynamics just as much as it helps with the aggressive look of this vehicle, but I think it looks really good. Now, the headlights here are a little bit different than we saw on the CT6 and on the Cadillac Escalade. Both of those vehicles had what Cadillac has been using for quite some time now, quartering lamps, where they'll turn on from the side if you turn on the signal at a slow speed or you turn your wheel at a different speed. These ones are actually using adaptive HID headlights. So they will turn instead of putting on an extra light. I think it works actually a little bit better, but it is something to note. If you are a Cadillac fan, you always like to have those quartering lamps. They aren't available on this. These are proper adaptive headlights up front. Now, there's also no 360-degree camera with this car. As mentioned, you have the two on the front and then the one on the back. And there's also no power folding mirrors, something that you don't get with this because, again, they are trying to save some weight. I'm sure they could save a hell of a lot more if they wanted to, but you do lose a number of those features because this is more of a race-oriented vehicle. Now, there's a lot going on with the side of this car as well. These are 19-inch After Midnight alloy rims. They do have V-forged rims as well, but these I think look really good, especially with the dark color of this car. It's like a dark gray, really adds to the menacing look of it. You also have 6-piston Brembo brakes up front with 4 pistons in the back. You could get them either gold or red plated if you wanted to. That adds about $685 to the price tag, but these are the regular ones here. You do have the V-Series logo on the side there to help people understand that this car is more than just your grandpa's Cadillac CTS. Again, we mentioned there are no power folding mirrors on the side, but you do have the same handles here that we found on the CT6 where they light up to help you see at night, and they also have all 4 doors with power open and lock features for the vehicle. Now, around back is where we find the final little features here. Now, first of all, there is an advanced security package with this vehicle. It's $695. It adds a more advanced alarm system with a tilt sensor and a roll-away sensor for things like that. So very similar to what you would find on other luxury vehicles, but again, you have to pay for that. The rest of that $7,195 carbon fiber package adds this huge, almost ducktail kind of fin to the back of the car, and also the rear diffuser at the bottom. Again, two things that help to distinguish this car from a regular CTS-V, but also from a regular CTS. I think it makes it look a lot more aggressive. Again, probably helps a little bit with the airflow. I think that this car is so fast and can get up to speed very quickly that you do need to have some downforce on the back here. But I think it really just looks good. I mean, it's all carbon fiber. It has a good look to it, and really finishes well with this color. I think if you had a white car with the carbon fiber, probably wouldn't look as good, but this dark color just blends in perfectly. There's two things I'm a little disappointed by here on the back. The lights for your license plate aren't LED, and neither is the reverse light. Those are things that we would pretty much expect from a car that costs $110,000, but if it's not something you're too worried about, then who cares? It is not a power opening trunk, but it will open up fully for you without any problem. You do have pretty good size of space in the back here. There is enough room to be able to put your daily things, and just make sure you're not pulling it up from that nice carbon fiber spoiler. Now, much like with the exterior of this car, the interior has a lot of options and features that we're going to be going over here. Now, first of all, it does have the luxury package, which costs $2,595. You do get the split folding rear seats, a rear view camera system, which I think should have been standard on all of these cars anyway when it comes to Cadillacs. You do have the rear side window sunshades. They are manual, but they cover pretty much all the window space. You have a 110 volt outlet for charging or larger devices. The rear heated seats, which is a nice feature if you're using this as a family hauler, the rear power window sunshade, and tri-zone climate, which again is good if you're using this for family hauling purposes. Now, some of the other features that you get with this that aren't necessarily family friendly, it is the 16-way Recaro racing seats. These are $2,645. They are very nice leather on the outside and Alcantara suede on the inside, Recaro embossed inside with the V logo at the top. They're very comfortable, they have good adjustment, and the only thing you really miss out with it are ventilation and massage features. If you were to keep the regular 20-way comfort seats with the CTS-V, or if you go with the CTS, you could still have ventilated seats. So you do lose out on that, but this is a performance track-oriented vehicle, so heated seats is a nice feature. You do have a $1,685 Ultra View panoramic sunroof, lets in a lot of light up top. And then you could add on more if you wanted to. The steering wheel here is just leather, but you can add a suede leather with both the shift here and the steering wheel for $350, not too bad. You can get different trims for the carbon fiber here. You can have red inserts, which look really nice, a little bit more expensive at $1,380. And then also something that probably a lot of people would consider if they are buying this to be using this on the track for about $1,800 is the performance data recorder. You put a USB or micro SD card into the car, and it uses the cameras on the front to record your driving, and it overlays your revs, and even I think you could do up to having a little track, so you can set the track through the computer and it'll overlay all this information while it's recording. So really cool stuff there if you do plan on tracking this car. Now again, as mentioned, there's a lot of features going on with this vehicle. We'll start in the center here. You do have the 8-inch infotainment screen here. It doesn't have the navigation SD card, but it does come with it. You do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so you can use all of that. You have climate control options, and that's pretty much it. There's no actual performance information that you can get off of the nav system here. Maybe a little bit of a bummer there. There's a 12.3-inch infotainment screen in the gauge cluster here. We've seen this with the Cadillac Escalade and CT6. You do have a little bit more control over what you can see performance-wise. You can see things like your G as you're moving left and right, forward or back. You can see the actual G forces that are being put on you and the car. And you can also see the tire temperature, which is actually really important. Reminds me a lot of Forza Motorsport. And we actually drove this pretty much throughout the entire heat wave we had here in Quebec. And for the most part, all the time it was in the warm mode, but normal driving conditions, it should be under normal. Now you also do have the, as I mentioned, carbon fiber trim all throughout with suede and leather. Now again, like the Cadillac CT6, we find that there's a lot of different materials in here. You have perforated leather up top with more leather around the sides, carbon fiber, and suede. So if you're not somebody who likes to have multiple different kinds of interior trim pieces, then you might not like the interior that much. You do have GM's excellent head-up display and that camera mirror system that we've seen on other models. Now, as comfortable as it is up here, it is still comfortable for backseat passengers. We've put not only adults, but children in the back, and they fit normally. I mean, it's a mid-size family sedan of all things, so you can get quite a bit going on back there, and you do have good space. And again, same kind of features. You have the nice leather seats with the suede inserts and suede door cards, carbon fiber, and leather throughout. So it is pretty nice in the back as much as it is up here. There's a couple other storage compartments here. We saw with the Cadillac Escalade, you can open up the media controls here to be able to put your wireless charger where your phone would go, but we usually use that to hide something like your wallet. There is a motorized cup holder cover here, which is actually really cool. So if you buy this car, please, for the love of God, tell everybody who gets into this car, do not pull on this thing, because I've had quite a few people that get into this and just shove that thing right back, expecting it to just be a regular tray. It is motorized. You will burn the motor out if you don't use it properly. So you got your dual cup holders there. You have a little ashtray kind of thing here. Maybe you could put some change. There's another outlet there, and then you have another storage compartment underneath the armrest. Plus your glove box opens up as we saw on the CT6. You just push the glove box button, pops open, so there's no latch there. Now, I'm hoping if you're watching this, you're obviously interested in Cadillac, but I also do hope that there are a lot of people out there who are watching this because they aren't necessarily, and we did mention this, it was about 6 months ago, I talked about the 3 brands that I promised myself I would never buy: Mazda, Volkswagen, Cadillac. But after doing a lot of episodes of Test Drive, I've really come to realize that at least 2 of those were flawed in terms of the fact that the cars are actually quite surprisingly great. And this Cadillac is also one of them. Now, it certainly helps having that 640 horsepower LT4 LS-based engine up front. It delivers a lot of power when you want it, but it's also a lot of car for what I think is a very good price proposition. I mean, 110,000 Canadian still is a lot of money. Now we want to talk about how this car performs on the road, and I have to say that it is actually quite similar to the way that the CT6 drove. You know, it's certainly a different car, definitely has a lot more power, but the CT6 had a lot of the same underlying tech that this CTS-V has. For example, it does have GM's magnetic ride system. So as you go around the corners and you go around the bumps, you certainly feel that it is a little bit different. We've averaged 12.4 liters per 100 kilometers. That actually isn't too bad when you think about it. I've had this car in sport mode pretty much the entire time. Now, sport mode helps to stiffen up the suspension, stiffen up the steering, but more importantly, it has an electronic, basically like a butterfly valve in the exhaust setup, so it will open it up so that more sound comes out. And I have to say, it does help. You do notice it when you turn it on and off. You won't be able to hear it on the camera, so I won't waste your time with it, but there is a difference when you put this car into sport mode for the exhaust. And as far as I know, they're not doing any electronic acoustics inside here to be able to pump fake noises into the car. This is all engine, and it really does sound fantastic. I think a lot of people have just stopped what they were doing and look at what this car is as we drive by, and they probably thought, oh my God, it's a Cadillac. Why is that car making so much noise? Because really, you know, a lot of people still think that this is an old man's car, and I really think that if that's what you think a Cadillac still is, I guess you're still right. We did see a lot of the Cadillacs on the road this week driving around by older people, but something like this, I just don't see Grandpa going into the dealership and saying, yes, I want that $8,000 carbon fiber package, sir, because I need to get to the bingo club very quickly and make it look stylish. Now, I know you have all come here to see just how fast this car is. Now, I am not a stupid man. I'm going to be keeping traction control and stability on because I really don't want to have to call GM and explain to them that I've written off a $110,000 car. But it is a manual mode, and I do find that the transmission shifts just a little slowly. So you will have to bear with me with it. Even though the red line's at 6,500, if you don't shift just before 6, it really lags. So we are at a standstill here. We're from a dig, and let's take it for a rip. Holy shit! Yeah, so you can see insanely quick. We had a ton of tire squeal off the line there, but my God, that's fun. Oh, that's so much fun. And especially downshift, you go into the corners. Oh my God, man. This is not a track, obviously, but you can still have a little bit of fun as our change rattles around here, so I do apologize for that, but man, oh man, is this car fun. And when you have it set up to have the G's on the side and your tire temperature, you can really see a lot of data about what this car can do. Oh my God, that's fun. And then we put it back into regular shifting mode, turn off the automatic stuff, because you could probably tell there, you know, one of the things I've noticed with this, you know, we had the Alfa Romeo last week, the Stelvio, and the shift paddles are actually built into the stock of the steering column. So as you're turning the steering wheel, they will just, you know, stay where they are. But with this, they move with the steering wheel. So if you're actually doing a turn and you're shifting, things gotta suck. But I gotta say, my God, so much power with a car like this. And I think one of the reasons why you do lose so much on those launches, you know, if you put it as launch control, I guarantee you still, you're gonna be losing traction there. There's just so much power going to the rear wheels. Frig, man, what a fun car. And you don't have to drive it balls to the wall like that. You could just go like that and just instantly, holy crap, there's so much torque. The car is just pulling you in every direction. It's part of the trouble, but part of the fun at the same time. You really do have to know how to drive a car like this, because it isn't one of those cars that you could just get behind the wheel, turn off the traction control and go. You will die. But I gotta say, it is so much fun doing it that I'm so glad that we've had it for this week. main reasons we love a car like this is community. We've tried to get a lot of enthusiast communities involved with the episodes of Test Drive this year, but the Club Cadillac CTS-V Quebec group on Facebook definitely pulled through. We had the chance to check out all 3 generations of the CTS-V at once, and it's communities like this that make owning a performance car even more fun. There's really no better feeling than meeting up as a club to show off the cars you're passionate about. So what about the other enthusiast performance car we featured this year? The Kia Stinger costs less than half the price, and while it is in no way whatsoever competing with the Cadillac CTS-V, it was the only other car to give us as much enjoyment per dollar to drive, if not more. Now I know there are already people slamming away on their keyboards to yell at me for saying Kia and Cadillac in the same sentence. Hell, I got enough of that on Instagram the other week for posting a photo of these two. But the Stinger is the only other performance-oriented sedan we've driven, so it's hard not to think about it. Sure, the CTS-V is insanely fun and is one of the most show-off cars we've had, but the Stinger did provide a lot of enjoyment. In a situation like ours, a decision between a CTS-V and a Stinger means I can buy a Kia for myself and get one for my wife too. But let's talk about the positive and negative takeaways from this 640 horsepower 4-door performance machine. First off, there's a lot to love. This generation CTS-V is easily one of the most aggressive iterations of Cadillac's V line, and while the carbon fiber package is seriously expensive, it's worth every penny of it. There's no doubt that the engine power is a plus, even if it's overkill on a car like this. We're serious, if you don't know how to tame a beast like this, it will kill you. GM's magnetic ride works great in the corners, giving this American some agility around the corners you might not have expected. Now the interior is also a huge plus in our books. Although mentioned, some might find that the different trim materials might feel busy. The suede leather Recaro sport seats are fantastic, and everything else is soft to the touch. And finally, choice is king for the CTS-V. With options for paint, interior, carbon trim, and even the brake caliper colors, you can customize your Cadillac just the way you want it. Now there were a few things about the CTS-V that we weren't completely sold on. We did have some electronic issues due to the missing navigation SD card that required a complete factory reset every time we had issues. Obviously that problem wouldn't exist if you had the SD card in the first place, but the underlying software is buggy enough to cause problems. While we appreciate a lot of the weight-saving measures GM implemented, such as no power folding mirrors or 360-degree cameras, this car still weighs over 4,100 pounds. The option for further weight saving might be good for those serious about taking this car on the track. We also find that there was a serious lack of performance information compared to something like the Dodge Challenger GT we featured. You do have temperature gauges in the cluster, but you're limited to the information there. We'd love to see more performance-oriented information made available through Q to get the most out of the car. And finally, I know it's nitpicking, but the lack of LED license plate lights and reverse light is just making this $110,000 car feel just a tiny bit cheaper. Everything else is LED, why not those? At the end of the day, this is a seriously enjoyable car to drive. It turns heads everywhere you go and drains your wallet like crazy. We spent $300 for gas this week alone, and as premium prices creep up every single week, it's only going to hurt more. Thanks for watching this episode of Test Drive Spotlight on the 2018 Cadillac CTS-V. I want to thank the Club Cadillac CTS-V Quebec group for helping us out and bringing out their CTS-Vs. I also want to thank Kia Mario Blais for letting us be a little cheeky with our Kia Stinger clips for this episode. As always, your support makes this show possible, so share it online, tell your friends, click that like button, and hammer in a comment below. We try to reply to everything here and hope to gain you as a subscriber. Until next time, take care.